Important announcement from HDFC Bank. A giant interest rate for your fixed deposit that you deposit this month. Enjoy special interest rates based on deposit amount and the government security. Call 0718 800 999. HDFC.
In a few moments, the news.
A giant interest rate for your fixed deposit that you deposit this month. Enjoy special interest rates based on deposit amount and the government security.
This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
(8:45). This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The news edited by J. Yogaraj and read by Soundit Avam. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa completes 1 year in office. The Prime Minister presented a people-friendly budget yesterday. The SK Bogambara prison inmate recaptured. Surge in COVID-19 figures as 233 more test positive. A 10-hour water cut in several areas. News overseas, the US troops in Afghanistan, allies and Republicans alarmed at withdrawal plan. In sports, SLC confident of LPL starting on time despite more teething issues. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa has completed 1 year in office, during which time he has achieved many goals mentioned in his election manifesto. He has led the country with a strong leadership and faces the challenges successfully. Handling the security was a major challenge which the President consolidated successfully. The second challenge is the corona pandemic situation, which he has so far kept under control. One of the most standing out election pledges of President Rajapaksa was his professed resolve to effectively combat underworld crime and eliminate the narcotics trade from the face of the soil. Even his critics will have to concede that the President has lived up to his word in this regard. Today, not only have all the big names in the narcotics business and the underworld been apprehended and their networks crippled, but also the dragnet has been thrown far and wide with view to identifying the behind-the-scene players such as banks and government departments that were in cahoots with the drug lords, thus raising hopes that the narcotics trade in this country is in its death throes, though understandably it will be premature indeed to entertain such hopes given the overarching nature and the dimensions assumed by the global narcotics trade. During the election campaign and thereafter, the President has also right along been a firm advocate for changing the country's education system to make it employment-oriented and in keeping with the changing world and modern trends. His vision was for pride of place given to technocracy in achieving results. With this vision in view, he has proposed a change in the general education curriculums and a shift in the university course studies and higher education as a whole. A special task force is presently studying the necessary changes that will be recommended to overhaul the country's education system to bring it on par with world standards. On the foreign front policy, President Rajapaksa is sticking to the Bandaranaike policy of the non-aligned. The President has claimed that he will not hitch his star to any one of the superpowers, although he would welcome investment from any quarter for the benefit of Sri Lanka. The President had repeatedly made his stance known to the world leaders he had met during the first year in office. Many development projects are already underway with Chinese investment dating back to the earlier regimes, such as the Colombo Port City project, which stands out as the jewel in the crown of all mega development projects hitherto undertaken that promises to take Sri Lanka to new levels of prosperity. Prime Minister and Finance Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa, presenting the second reading of the 2021 budget in Parliament yesterday, said it is a development budget presented to elevate an economy that has been shattered. The budget will cover all sectors under a macroeconomic vision aimed at fulfilling President Gotabaya Rajapaksa's vistas of prosperity and splendour, the Prime Minister said, emphasising that the public sector should provide the necessary support in this regard. This is the budget that will open up numerous special investment opportunities to our business community for the production of local goods and services under the competitive setting of the global economy. Producers of all scales should strive during the next 3 years to allow local economy to competitively enter to the global economy. For the benefit of the country, the Prime Minister requested all entrepreneurs to utilize the funds hidden locally or internationally in order to avoid laws related to taxes and foreign exchange, promising to make legal provisions to provide a tax pardon to entrepreneurs, thus fulfilling funds for any investment facilitated by this budget under the payment of taxes amounting to 1%. The estimated government revenue for 2021 is 1,961 billion rupees. The total government expenditure is 3,525 billion rupees, and as such, the difference between the revenue and the expenditure is 1,564 billion rupees. It is planned to maintain the budget gap at 9% of the GDP, since the private investments, which amounted to 32.3% of the GDP in 2014, has decreased up to 27.6% in 2019, and since it is required to provide a robust start by the government to revive the economic growth which had stagnated recently. The Premier expects to manage this budget gap due to enhanced opportunities to reissue local and international currency-denominated debt at maturity. While the expected economic growth for 2021 is 5.5%, the Prime Minister emphasized the medium-term vision to reduce the budget gap through increasing the economic growth up to 6% and increasing government revenue from its current level of 9.7% to 14.1%. The government targets to reduce the budget deficit to 4% by 2025 due to growth in tax revenue through the expansion of the economy and the trust placed on the management of public expenditure and public enterprises. The Prime Minister requested all lawmakers to give their blessing to the development budget aimed at economic revival and poverty reduction. Sri Lanka saw another surge in its confirmed COVID-19 cases this evening as 233 more persons were tested positive for the virus. All the new cases are close contacts of the Minuwangoda and Paliagoda clusters, reports revealed. With the latest development, the country's infections tally has soared to 18,308, while total infections of the dual cluster reached 14,801. The Health Ministry's data showed that 12,587 of the confirmed patients have made complete recoveries from the virus. The epidemiology unit says 5,655 active cases are still receiving medical treatment at selected hospitals across the island. The death toll from COVID-19, meanwhile, sits at 66. This news broadcast comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
A giant interest rate for your fixed deposit that you deposit this month. Enjoy special interest rates based on deposit amount and the government security. Call 0718 800 999.
The inmate who escaped from the old Bogamra prison in Kandy has been arrested. Commissioner General of Prisons Tushara Upuldeniya said. He had been captured while he was within the Kandy town itself, the Commissioner General said. On arrest, the inmate had been sent back to the old Bogamra prison and placed under a 14-day compulsory quarantine period. Earlier today, it was reported that 5 inmates who were under quarantine at the old Bogamra prison had attempted to break out on Tuesday night. One of them was killed when the prison officers opened fire at the fleeing inmates. However, 3 others were taken into custody. An investigation led by the Assistant Superintendent of the Kagalla prison was launched into the death of the inmate. According to reports, the inmates in question had been convicted of drug offences. The water supply to several areas will be suspended for 10 hours tomorrow. The National Water Supply and Drainage Board said the water cut will be in effect from 9 p.m. tomorrow until 7 a.m. on November 20th. Accordingly, the Homagama, Palnipitiya, Palanvatta and Mattagoda areas will experience the water cut. The NWSDB said the disruption to the water supply is due to urgent maintenance work. That's local news.
An important announcement from HDFC Bank. A giant interest rate for your fixed deposit that you deposit this month. Enjoy special interest rates based on deposit amount and the government security. Call 0718 800 999. HDFC.
A mother knows the pain of each member of the family. Siddhalepa, the trusted relief for aches and pains.
An effective therapy for relief from cold, sneezing, flu, headaches, swelling due to toothaches, rheumatic, discomforts, and muscular aches and pains. Siddhalepa, the Veda Mahatmya in every home.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Veda Mahatmya.
Army Commander Lieutenant General Shavendra Silva says more corona-infected cases are reported inside the Colombo city limits. Steps have been taken to conduct PCR tests. Meanwhile, 6 corona-positive cases were also reported from the Bogambra and Busa prison premises. Meanwhile, the investigations have commenced to find out the root causes of the Brandix garment factory. And that came to you in the main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Veda Mahatmya.
Brush your teeth twice a day for healthy teeth and gums. Supiriviki and Kakulu, your trusted brands in oral care for many years.
Supiriviki Ayurvedic toothpaste for adults. Kakulu Ayurvedic toothpaste for kids. 9 Ayurvedic ingredients of Supiriviki will protect your teeth and strengthen your gums. Supiriviki and Kakulu, products from Siddhalepa.
Moving on to Watchlight, the consumers seriously complain about escalating price hikes on selected essential goods. This has caused immense difficulties due to the low-income families, and some errant traders are exploiting this quarantine curfew situation to gain more profits by increasing the prices of essential goods arbitrarily. This is for the attention of the Consumer Affairs Authority, CAA, and came to you in Watchlight. On to a bulletin of world news. In the headlines, US troops in Afghanistan, allies and Republicans alarmed at withdrawal plan. New Zealand police introduce hijabbed uniform. And Varavaro Rao court orders jailed activist 80 to be taken to hospital. Senior Republicans and US allies have voiced alarm at the announcement that a large number of American troops will be removed from Afghanistan. And Iraq, the US is to withdraw 2,500 troops from both countries by mid-January, the US Department of Defense confirmed. President Donald Trump has long called for troops to come home and has criticized US interventions abroad. The New Zealand police have introduced a hijab into their official uniform to encourage more Muslim women to join. New recruit Constable Zina Ali will become the first officer to wear the official hijab. A spokesperson said they aim to create an inclusive service reflecting the country's diverse community. A jailed 80-year-old Maoist ideologue and activist will be taken to hospital for 15 days for medical treatment following a court order. His lawyers told the court that Varavaro Rao was denied proper medical treatment in a Mumbai jail. Mr. Rao has espoused radical thinking and revolutionary ideas in his writings and has been in jail since 2018 for allegedly inciting caste violence. He has strongly denied the allegations. Back to the headlines of the world news. US troops in Afghanistan, allies and Republicans alarmed at withdrawal plan. New Zealand police introduce hijabbed uniform. And Varavara Rao court orders jailed activist 80 to be taken to hospital. Moving on to development news, the DFCC Bank reaffirmed its continued excellence as the bank for everyone by clinching 2 prestigious accolades at the annual awards ceremony of the Association of Development Finance Institutions in Asia and the Pacific. Presented at the 43rd ADF-IAP annual meeting, which was held virtually due to the ongoing pandemic. In the 2020 edition of the ADF-IAP event, the DFCC Bank clinched 2 merit accolades under the Outstanding Development Project Awards. The first one was under category Human Capital Development for its project Together We Grow, as well as under another category Corporate Social Responsibility for its project Samata English. That's development news, and moving on to sports. The Lanka Premier League LPL continues to run into teething issues, with some franchise owners describing the tournament's organisation as chaotic. Less than 10 days out, Sri Lanka Cricket, however, remains adamant that in spite of late changes in personnel and the major logistical challenges that continue to arise, LPL 2020 will begin as scheduled on November 26th. On Tuesday, the tournament announced its principal sponsor, MWILE Circle, a fantasy sports platform. That's sports news, business news up next.
Empower your dreams with NSV Wings. NSV Wings. Reach out the high goals.
Business news. Sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Plantation workers will get a huge financial benefit if they move to the productivity-based model. Former chairman and media spokesperson, the Planters Association of Ceylon, Dr. Roshan Rajadure said, speaking in a webinar today. He said that the workers, through trade unions and political means, are requesting for a daily wage of 1,000 rupees, but productivity-based model will give them a bigger take-home pay pack. That's business news, economic news up next.
Business news. Sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
The wait is over and it's time for you to experience happiness. It's time to remap the graph for success. It's time to rebuild your empire. It's time to initiate your entrepreneur dreams. Empower your dreams with NSV Wings. Get your 2-year personal loan for just 7% per annum, starting from 500,000 rupees to 10 million rupees. All you need is just one guarantee. NSV Wings. Reach out the high goals.
Economic news, courtesy of
Business Deals, now easy. It just takes a few taps only. Anytime, get it done, all connected. Best discounts with real time. LOLC Real Time. Now download LOLC Finance Real Time app for your LOLC savings account. Attractive interest rates, transactions anytime, anywhere with a zero cost and more benefits.
Plans to maintain the budget gap at 9% of GDP, targets 4% budget deficit by 2025. An uncomplicated online income tax system for all income taxpayers. Prime Minister and Finance Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa presented the budget for 2021 yesterday in Parliament said that the government hopes to achieve 5.5% economic growth. Said that to give more encouragement towards the development of local agriculture, fisheries and livestock, these 3 sectors will be exempted from income tax for the next 5 years. That's economic news.
Congratulations on your promotion. Heard you gave a treat for everyone in your department yesterday.
Yeah.
When will be our treat, huh?
Well, how about today?
Oh no, I was just joking. We'll have a party with your new salary.
It's fine. I have my LOLC credit card with me. Let's go out today.
Those who spread goodness radiate happiness to everyone around them. Introducing LOLC Finance Credit Cards. Fuel the goodness in you.
On to the weather report to conclude. The Met Department says that showers will occur in the coastal areas of the northern and eastern provinces in the morning. Showers or thundershowers will occur at several places elsewhere in the afternoon or night. Fairly heavy showers above 50 millimeters can be expected at some places in the southern, Sabragamo, central and Uva provinces. This weather report was published this evening at 7:30 p.m. Further details could be obtained by visiting the official website of the department. To conclude this bulletin of news, a recap of the headlines. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa has completed 1 year in office. The Prime Minister presented a people-friendly budget yesterday. The escaped Bogambra prison inmate recaptured. A surge in COVID-19 figures as 233 more test positive. A 10-hour water cut in several areas. US troops in Afghanistan, allies and Republicans alarmed at withdrawal plan. And the SLC confident of LPL starting on time despite more teething issues. That concludes this bulletin of news.